Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
This is the Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast. Yes, another wrestling podcast. I am Willie Tiny, and my hosts today are L.A. Willie, and we will see if Will the Thrill shows up. He's having little technical difficulties, and our guest tonight is the guy with the supply, Mr. Ty Awesome. How you doing, Ty?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on. It means a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you as well. All right. So the first thing I want to start with is September 2nd, 2019. Do you remember that date?
I do. Yeah, I do. I do know that date.
What exactly happened on that date?
I wrestled on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I wrestled on Monday Night Raw against the Viking Raiders.
How cool is that? So, you were talent enhancement that night, pretty much.
Yeah. That night, I've been on 3 separate tours with the WWE. Just like I'm sure you guys remember when it was Monday and Tuesday nights. It was Raw Monday, Tuesday was SmackDown, and I did a tour Monday and Tuesday. Then a couple months later, I did another one, and that was when I got to wrestle on Monday Night Raw, and the next night I got to wrestle on 205 Live. And and then I've done one other time. It was Extreme Rules 2022 when Bray Wyatt returned. I was there. I was in the back. I was just in the back, but still, grateful opportunities, man. Just very grateful.
All right. How was the experience with the Viking Raiders?
Great guys, man. Super cool guys. It was really cool getting to go through the motions with them. It was really cool. It was really nice. Abyss, TNA Star Abyss, he was our agent. Joseph Parks, he was our agent. And he was very happy with it. He said Vince was very happy with it, which that's super cool. Yeah, man, it was a hell of an experience, man. It really was. They put us all in a line, and they picked 2 people just off the cuff, and the Viking Raiders, Eric, he said, "Hey, let's just go through the motions with all of them, and let's see how it is." And I was like, "Okay, cool. We have a moment." Like there was a moment I was like, "Okay, it's not my night. Maybe tomorrow." And but then they said, "No, let's go through everybody." And I was probably the second to last person. And they picked me up like the scene from Dirty Dancing. Like, and they had me in there, and they looked over and they were like, "Yeah, can we have him?" and that's how it happened.
Any experience or advice you got from the Viking Raiders, or anything you learned from your time in the ring with them?
It happened so fast, you know what I mean? It really did. Man, I didn't really get any direct advice. Honestly, it was more of like me and the guy I worked with, Brian Hardy, we both just got good props. For Abyss to come back even after that. So we had the match, we all got together and we talked about it. And they were like, "Oh, it was great. It was everything wanted." Vince jumped out of his seat on this spot. And it's like, "Oh, wow, cool." And then me and Brian, we go back to the extra talent dressing room and we just get changed. And it was probably an hour goes by and Abyss comes back in. He's like, "Hey, I just want to thank you guys." And I'm just like, "What?" And we're just standing there like looking at each other, kind of like we did when the Viking Raiders came out. And it was really neat for Abyss to be like, "No, thank you guys very much. Vince was very happy. You made me a happy man tonight. Thank you guys very much." And It was really
That was
cool.
awesome.
It was
Now,
really cool.
you
Mhm.
took the brunt of that work because your partner, he didn't do much work in that match.
He wasn't the legal man at all. No, he took a bump on the outside,
Yeah.
and they power bombed me into him. But yeah, they bullied me. no, I'm like I said, man, I'm very grateful, very blessed, and it was definitely the best night of my life.
That's awesome.
That's sweet.
So
So,
let's
so
Will
when
the
did you
Thrills here.
decide? Hey, Will the Thrill, how's it going?
Woo!
Ty Awesome.
All right, Ty.
What's
So
up?
when did you decide to become a wrestler?
Man, so my love for wrestling came from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's where it all started, man.
wow.
When I grew up, that was what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a Power Ranger, and when I found professional wrestling, I knew that was that was going to be it. You know what I mean? I found everything I wanted. It was the fighting, it was the stories, it was it was everything involved with it, the explosions, the pyro, you know what I mean? It was everything Power Rangers was that my 10-year-old mind saw as a kid. So there was no questions in my mind. That was it. I saw Paul London on TV. I saw this guy doing 450 splashes and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, this is it. This is it. This is the closest thing I'm going to get to being a Power Ranger is right here. And I made that decision at 10, 11 years old. Very first Monday Night Raw I watched was very first wrestling I watched in my own home was when John Cena was drafted to Monday Night Raw. So
Right.
that was my introduction on the highlight reel. So that was the closest thing I could get to a Power Ranger. So I fell in love with it. That was my first little bit of what got me into professional wrestling.
Any Power Ranger moves you incorporate in your matches or your style?
I throw kicks. I try to throw cool kicks. A lot of them throw like a tornado kick. Not really Power Ranger based, but it's the closest I can probably get.
Right.
Well, for fun, for kicks, I would like to hear which Power Ranger you would have chose if we could get one of your "It's Morphin' Time."
Oh, dude. If you're asking like the 10-year-old me, I loved the Blue Turbo Ranger because he was a kid. He was a kid. So like when he morphed, he would shift into turbo and he would hit the whole thing, right? And then he would grow as he morphed. And I thought that was the coolest thing because I was like, dude, again, coming back to I can be a Power Ranger all over again.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
As an adult, man, I love the Green Ranger, and like, of course, Tommy the Green Ranger. Love it. Still my favorite story arc of the entire series. After that, it would have to be I'd have to do the Let's Rock It, and that would be either Andros, which was the red in space one, and then I loved the silver one too. He had the phone. I thought that was super cool too. Oh. Yeah, another good story arc of Power Rangers in space. Another good one. I was talking to another wrestler about it last weekend, Sean Cannon, and we were just spit back and forth, man, like we were kids.
Well, dude, that's pretty cool to find out about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, to throw you got number 4. You ready?
Yep. Where have you done your training at, Ty?
So I've dipped my toes a little bit everywhere, honestly. I learned my basics from Mark and Jay Briscoe, ROH. That's where I learned my basics. I was 16 years old, and my dad, he was friends with a gentleman who is no longer with us. Sorry, got a little thinking about Jay there a little bit. But my dad took me to his friend Bobby Gannon, who knew Mark and Jay Briscoe, and I told my dad I was serious about it, and so I got the chance to go into the ring with Mark and Jay Briscoe on two occasions where they taught me how to run ropes and take bumps and stuff like that, and watch them wrestle. So that was my first introduction to it. And there's videos on YouTube. You can Google it. Training with the Briscoe brothers. You can find videos of me with a buzz cut, running around looking like an idiot. To be fair, that was my first little dip into it. I did a little backyard stuff when I was in college. That I found out there was a place nearby. As soon as I got a car, I was able to, maneuver around. There was a little backyard place. I was there for maybe 6 months. Weaseled away into an indie match somehow, and then after that, I found real training at Spinebusters Wrestling Academy, which was ran by Sonny Deeds in Fountain, Delaware. So I was there for about 1.5 years where I learned how to do it properly, how to be a respectable young man in the business, and do the things the right way. And then after that ended up folding. And then after that, I moved my training to Mark Harrow, who I'm still training with to this day. I train with Mark Harrow and Sean Carlson, and it's myself. And, I consider them the guys who run it because they know how they like their style. And Mark Harrow is so good at being technical and making things make sense, and he's got a reason for everything. And Mark is just he can pinpoint things that I wouldn't see, but it's things that I do in a match. He's a very good teacher. So I really consider Mark is the teacher, and me and Sean are backup, but I consider Carlson more of a teacher than I am, because like I said, I'm there, but I have to travel an hour for training everywhere I go, because there's nowhere around me. So I travel an hour every Wednesday to training, to and from. So 2 hours of my day goes to driving to go into training. So that's what we do now, man. We're running school Mondays and Wednesdays. I go every Wednesday, and Sean's there too. And like I said, right. To answer your question, I get rambling. I apologize, but right now I'm continuing my training with Mark Harrow.
Nice.
All right. So, what promotions have you worked for?
Well, you brought up WWE. I got to wrestle for them. I currently wrestle for 1CW Pro Wrestling, which is in Felton, Delaware. I currently wrestle for WDWA, which is in Martinsburg, West Virginia. I wrestle for the world famous Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey. I wrestled for Valor Pro Wrestling in York, Pennsylvania. I wrestled for IGB, Intergender Bonanza, which is in Jersey. I wrestled for Next Up Pro Wrestling in Virginia. Those are pretty much where I'm at for the most time now. Yeah, the ECWA.
ECWA.
I'm a former ECWA heavyweight champion. Absolutely, former ECWA Super 8 competitor. I've been in PWI one time. So yeah, those are where I'm working right now.
Oh.
Wow, you've been around.
And TWI, I can't forget TWI in Philly. Cannot forget them. So yeah, those are my mainstays right now.
Okay, so not that long ago, you were a MFPW middleweight medallion champion. And you tell us about that moment in time.
Man, so crazy. life's crazy. So I wrestle at 1CW Pro Wrestling, and for the last 2.5 years, Brian Morris has been on the roster. Mm-hmm. And me and Brian Morris, we've had a couple good matches over at 1CW, and we've honestly, behind the curtain, I respect the hell out of Brian Morris. I really do. He's a great guy, and he's super fucking professional. Excuse my language. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But that's how I feel. Like he's a straight up dude, and I really respect that guy. I've come to meet a lot of the guys over there. I wrestled Classy. I'm blanking right now. I get dropped on my head for a hobby. I got to wrestle Mark Raspa, but
you defeated Chris Desmond for the
I defeated Chris Desmond for the medallion. Getting back to it, long story short, I got an I texted Danny Cage and I asked if I could come out to the factory. He said, yeah. I came out, wrestled Mark Raspa, and then next thing I know, I'm in a ladder match for the medallion. After I wrestled Chris Desmond once, and I lost, but it was close, but everyone got involved. And then the Battle Royal, I hit the shooting star in the Battle Royal, and then that led to the ladder match at the WrestleMania event for Monster Factory, which I was able to pick up the victory and get the middleweight medallion.
Nice.
Speaking about ladder matches, Joe Hill say he would like to see you in a rematch with you and Mark Raspa in a ladder match 1-on-1.
Let's go. Let's go.
Book it.
Let's go.
Give the people what they want.
Yes, give the
He is the current medallion champion, if I'm not mistaken, right, Willie Tiny?
What's that? Oh yeah, Raspa.
Jr.
Yeah, because Raspa won. Yeah, Raspa took it off of you.
Yeah,
Right?
he did.
Yes,
he got beat fair and square. Fair game. Game respects game.
Yeah, there you go.
As you were just talking about Brian Mars.
Yeah, man. Respect the hell out of that dude. Great guy. Yeah.
Nice. Well, true.
Oh.
Have you guys had Brian Morris on the show yet?
My question is kind of off. Would you ever see yourself joining World Renown? Well, I'm just saying because
if they have their people call my people, I'm not gonna instantaneously shut it down. I really like Nick Petit. I really like Chris Desmond. I really like Brian Morris. Been on the receiving end. Sometimes can't beat them, join them. But that's something I'd have to talk with them about. Or, like I
was
said,
just asking because of the respect
thing,
Willie Tiny. That's all.
Yeah. But World Renown sucks.
but if
all right,
awesome.
But awesome.
Yeah.
What other titles have you won so far?
My biggest titles that I've won so far are ECWA Heavyweight Championship. I've won the 1CW Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, the Monster Factory Middleweight Medallion. Those are my biggest ones, in my opinion. I've held the 1CW Tag Belts, the Workhorse Belt there. Trying to think, I've got to hold the WDWA Light Heavyweight Championship, the Eastern Shore Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, Valor Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, man, I've, like I said, very grateful able to wrestle in the Super 8 tournament, PWI Top 500 in 2019. Yeah, there I am, funky white boy, former 1CW Tag Team Champion. So, yeah, man, very grateful.
A lot of championships.
Yes.
Grateful. Very grateful.
What's your most memorable match?
Probably the Viking Raiders, but other than that, ECWA Super 8 tournament versus Chase Owens. Hands down. Mm-hmm. Hands down. What an experience to go against a Bullet Club member, a New Japan Pro wrestler. And he had a seminar that day, and I was the only one in the tournament who took it, which I don't know if he thought that was cool or what, but he asked me what I wanted to do in the match, and I said, the only thing I wanted to do is tell you, suck it. That's all I wanted to do. And he was like, we can do that. And we went out there, and he took a chance on a 23-year-old kid, and really took care of me, and he made me look good, and he shook my hand after, and he didn't even tell me he was going to do that. So that was a big moment. That was a huge moment in my career. And other than, I'd say that's my biggest moment, the biggest match that I've had. And I've wrestled a few names. I got to wrestle Mimi, Ricky Reyes, a couple names, and I think that match really set a tone for how I was going to wrestle and how I was going to, make this everything.
Okay. All right, since you said that the Power Rangers, is what helped you become a wrestler, growing up, who was your favorite wrestler to watch?
I fell in love with Paul London. Paul London, Brian Kendrick. You know, I love the 450 splash. I used to use the 450 splash for the finish. Now it's the shooting star press, all after Paul London. You know, mad respect to him, hands down. That was the guy who I was like, if he can do this, I can do this. And I was grateful enough that I got to take a seminar with Paul London last year, and I'm also very grateful that we talked about Monday Night Raw. I'm very grateful that I got to wrestle one of my heroes, Brian Kendrick, in a tag team match on 205 Live. And I'm very grateful that I got to tell him that I wasn't watching SmackDowns for The Undertaker to come on. I was watching it for him and Paul. And he was like, do you really mean that? I'm like, yeah, dude, I really mean that. And he was like, dude, you have no idea how much that means to me. And you know, just being able to tell him that, and I got to tell Paul that later. You know, super cool. Those two guys, hands down, were the guys I watched.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very cool.
What other goals do you have that you really want to achieve? Like your objective, your main objective that you'd like to shoot for?
Man, I got so much that I still want to do with wrestling. I've never been on a plane. I'm going to be 30 next year. Never been on a plane. I'd love to.
Shocking.
I would love for the first time that I go on a plane, it would be wrestling related. That'd be super cool. It's my dream to make it my livelihood. I want to make wrestling my livelihood. If I can't, and I strive, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm in that point in my life where like you're in a moment where like you want something, you're so hungry for it. I'm so hungry to wrestle every day for my job. That's what I want to do. I want to do that every single day, hands down. And when I'm old, or if I can't do this every single day tomorrow, you know, I want to have a place where people can come and wrestle. So those are my goals.
Wow.
They're good goals.
Very nice. You mentioned you wrestled Brian Kendrick on 205 Live. That was another tag match?
Yeah, that was a tag match on 205 Live. It was me and Brandon Scott, MCW. He's wrestled Extra Talent a lot. He's been around. He wrestles for a lot of places. Been around wrestling a long time. So me and him got to tag against Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa when they were doing a little storyline together, tagging together and then fighting. And it was an angle on 205. So I got to do that. I got to wrestle a 4 or 5 minute match and got to wrestle with Brian Kendrick a little bit and got drop kicked out of the ring by Akira. So yeah, another win-win. And to be picked to wrestle Monday and then to wrestle again on WWE television the very next day after getting demolished by the Viking Raiders was crazy. like when I'm talking about grateful, like that doesn't happen. And I'm just very grateful that I got to wrestle 2 nights in a row for the biggest wrestling company in the United States. That was super cool. Super cool. Yeah. Catering was great too.
Since you brought up catering, what kind of food did they have at catering?
So man, so let me tell you about the first time I went, I got to eat all the catering because you know I was extra. I did a No Way Jose conga line, so we kind of had a little bit more freedom to go out and eat and stuff like that. Especially the next day, we didn't do anything really for Friday Night SmackDown, so we just ate. So, you know, they have a little dessert table. But other than that, man, they'll have chicken, they'll have vegetables, they have bread, they have, you know, you think about it, they probably have it there and they change it up every night, you know. Man, let me tell you the most heartbreaking thing. It was the bittersweet thing about wrestling in Baltimore for Monday Night Raw is that they will get crab cakes. And I get selected to wrestle on Raw and I am nervous as a 24-year-old can be, you know what I mean? So I'm not eating. and I wanted so bad. I was so jealous. I really was. But I can't complain because I got to I got to live my freaking dream. But that's, like I said, little things you can give and take away. You know, I'm very grateful I got to wrestle on Monday Night Raw. I wonder what those tasted like, but you know, I think I got the better end of the deal at the end of the night.
Ty, were you able to at least smell the crab cake?
What's that?
I know you were nervous, but were you able to at least smell it, like you could savor it? Like just imagine.
Man, believe it or not, I didn't have time to breathe anything in. That place works like a well-oiled machine. It is crazy how the operation works. It is so crazy. It's a well-oiled machine. That's what they call it, and it really is back there. It really is.
At that time that you were at 205 Live, was that like in the early stages of 205 Live, or was it after a while?
Like the mid stages. It was a mid stage. Yeah, it wasn't in the what's the name of the building? The CWC Center.
Yeah.
It wasn't in that place yet. They were still in arenas. I'm trying to think. Gulak might have been champion at the time. I really don't remember. But I remember Mike Kanellis was the opening match, and I can't remember who he wrestled off the top of my head. I just can't. But I remember those two killed it. They killed it. and thankfully it was only a 4-minute match after that, so we didn't have to worry about, we have to follow that. But, you know, they went above and beyond and killed it. So it was an era where Mike Kanellis was there, if that gives you a time frame. Yeah. Because I feel like he was there for, I mean, I don't know, but he was probably there for 5 years, that 5-year period there.
Gotcha. You mentioned some of your moves earlier. What wrestling move do you use, and what is your finishing move?
So my finish is the shooting star press. I also have the tarantula, which is a submission move, which I thought I invented, but I found some old Austin Aries footage the other day where I saw him do it, and I'm like, God sakes, man, I can't have anything. But it's a hammer lock. So you got the guy here, and I'll turn around for you. So my hand's here, and I'll lock my hand in between like a Kimura, and I'll bridge over. So that's the tarantula. Other than that, I hit springboard clothesline, slice bread number 2. I used to hit a handspring clothesline, but since Joe Gacy's been on TV, that's been his finish, or not his finish, but it's definitely a standout move of his, and I'm not stepping on any toes because that's Joe freaking Gacy. And so now I've been doing the round off and jump kick, kind of like Will Ospreay does, but I kind of try to step differently, so it kind of looks like it's turning into a Trouble in Paradise. It's something I'm working on, but I feel like I'm always trying to do some different stuff.
Is that working on any names for the moves, or you just?
So when I did the handspring clothesline, that was the supply chain. That's what I call it. Because I'm the guy with the supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking about keeping the name for the kick, the supply chain still, just because it's still similar and it works.
I mean, it sounds badass.
It fits the bill, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. Other than that, yeah, I don't really have any more moves that I've named. I used to have like a hammer lock, half Nelson. I used to jump it into a cutter back when I first started, and I was always like, I'm going to come up with a name for this. I never did. I'm going to work on that. Give me a week. I'll have it.
No problem.
Any more plugs and upcoming bookings?
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Ty Awesome. You can follow my my Facebook. You can go to Ty Awesome. I'm very grateful to have a nice busy schedule. I can even look at yours right now and see what I'm doing. So next show, it looks like I got 1CW Pro Wrestling, then Monster Factory. I got WDWA, so Delaware, New Jersey, West Virginia. Some more 1CW, more Monster Factory. I got Valid Pro Wrestling, and I picked up another date for 1CW and Next Up Pro Wrestling in December. So I'm staying busy, trying to stay busy as I can, man. Really, really as much as I can.
I should have zoomed in on the dates.
You're good.
For the remaining of the year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
all right.
Busy, you know.
the moment that we ask all our guests. It's a 3 Wheels of Wrestling podcast extravaganza question. And we ask all our guests this. What wrestler would be your dream opponent, past or present, stipulation, where, and would you put yourself over or out of respect your opponent?
So my heart says Paul London because I haven't had to wrestle Paul London, but I feel like I want to add some spice to this. Okay, so if I was to pick another wrestler from another time period, because that's what I when you said that, I was like, oh, who could I wrestle? So I would hands down pick, other than Paul London, if I could go back in time, if I could go back to 97, 98, 99 and be the person who I am right now, I would wrestle Owen Hart, hands down.
Nice.
Hands down, I would wrestle Owen Hart. I would want to wrestle him in the dungeon. Okay, because that would be the most authentic version of Owen Hart. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so much legendary. People have been there. It's such a it's a prestigious place, absolutely, but it's a terrifying place as well. And then you have one of the best natural gifted wrestlers in the entire world in Owen Hart, one of the most underrated. People know he was good, but if you watch his matches, he did it like it was nothing. Blue Blazer or Owen Hart, it didn't matter if he was tagging with Coco Beware. He was good, crisp every time he was in that ring. He was up there with the best there was, best there ever will be. He is up there with that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we only got a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if we had a televised Owen Hart and Kurt Angle match.
Mm-hmm.
Bro,
they would have blew the roof off.
Yeah. They had a match. That was one of Kurt Angle's first matches in WWE, but it was a live event, so they didn't film it. But if I would have to go back in time, dude, I would wrestle Owen Hart in anywhere in the dungeon, last man standing, first person to tap. MMA rules, however you want to go at dungeon rules. I think that's what they did.
Right.
Oh yeah, that would be it. That's to take me to the limit, man.
That would have been cool.
Just like this movie. Awesome.
Yeah, man, star. Yeah.
All right. So, LA, you got the next one. Oops.
Well, the final question. I have 2 here from Joe Hill. First one says, what are your thoughts on a Brian Morris and the rest of his factory crew wrestling at 1CW?
Man, that's something that I think would be beautiful. Honestly, I think that's something that would be very beautiful. We don't see a lot of, we see companies pair together, but I think if we really had 2 powerhouse companies in within the tri-state area or Delphia, whatever you want to call it, with the Delaware and Philly area, New Jersey, that would be great. I think there's a lot of great talent. Like I said, world renowned. You got Christian Darling. I could go on and on and on with all the magnificent wrestlers that are at the Monster Factory, and I'm even seeing some of the younger guys now. I think the person's name is Sebastian, and I've been watching them wrestle, and they've been killing it. They wrestled in a mask, and I was watching it earlier, and I'm like, they're killing it. Like they're doing it. So like I see how good the Monster Factory is with their people. At least, what I see, because I don't train at the factory. I'm very blessed to be able to come to the factory. I want to say that right now. I am very blessed to be able to have matches in the factory. And I thank Danny Cage and the team so much for allowing me to wrestle in that building. To answer your question, man, I think it'd be such an awesome thing. No pun intended. It really would be.
Right. And talking about the world-renowned Monster Factory, Joe Hill, next question is about your experience at the Monster Factory and becoming friends with Liam Black.
Dude, Liam's cool, man. Liam's actually from down here, from where I am. Yeah, that's my dude, man. We started running into each other in the gym. Yeah, and it was so cool, man, because He's younger than me. I think he's 21. I'm 29. He might be 22. I'm really not sure. But so he was growing up, and
I don't even think he's that. I don't even think he's that old.
You might be right.
20,
he might be 19.
20.
Yeah, he might
just
be
turned 20 not that long ago.
Yeah, and so when, let's say we go back, because November will be 10 years that I've been an indie wrestler. Since my first indie match. I was in the backyard a little bit, but I consider my very first indie match my very first time. That's when I started. So he was probably, let's say he's 20 now, 10 years old. Let's fast forward 5 years after Monday Night Raw. You know, he tells me that he knew who I was when he was that age, which makes me feel old, yes, but it makes me feel like at least somebody recognized and still stuck with it and remembered me, you know, and we didn't even know each other. He just kind of knew through the grapevine. And, you know, you watch wrestling, you know, you hear about people around you here or there, and there's nothing here in Salisbury that's pro wrestling related. Nothing. I like I said, I have to travel an hour to get places. So he knew who I was. And then he started wrestling, I think, 2 years ago. He started training at the factory, I think. And he was telling people where he was from, and they were like, "Oh, do you know Ty?" He's like, "Well, I know who he is, but I don't know him." that it was that kind of relationship that he just knew who I was.
But you guys know each other now.
But now we're boys. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say we're boys, but we were there for a little bit. He recently moved, so I don't see him anymore. He's still my boy. I respect the hell out of him, and I wish we became friends sooner. Because I'll tell you what, it was cool as hell when we ran into each other at the gym. It was just kind of weird like that. You know, it was like, "Yo, bro." It was like, "Yo, bro." and we would typically sync up, not on purpose. We would just meet up with each other there, and he'd be like, "Yo, let me jump in." Bet, come on, let's fucking do it. And that was it. So we really built a relationship off that. And then I even got to drive him to TRL one time because he wanted to go, and he was a little worried about his car. So I was like, "All right, man, I get off of work at 4:15. It's 2.5 hour drive. I think we can make it. So I'll do it." And so we went up together, and it was an easy drive up. But I got pulled over on the drive back. I was going a little fast, and I got pulled over right before we were in Delaware, right before we hit the Maryland line. I got pulled over for going probably 13, 14 over, I think. And the guy, the officer at the time, he was like, "Look, man, I'm going to cut you a break. I'm only going to put, you only went 1 over the speed limit." But he gave me the full ticket. That's not cutting me a break, dog. That's hurting my feelings and my wallet.
He's cutting you a break in the verbiage.
Yes, right. Bro. Yes. And I'm like, "Bro, come on. It's late. Like, cut me some slack." There was nobody else on the road, and that's probably why I got busted. But, it could have been a lot worse. It was like a $200 ticket, though. Yes, dude. Just for going. It's like, "I'm going to put that you only went 1 over, but you're going to have to pay the full price." Right. God, man. Take here, take it.
Take it.
But, yeah.
Well, since you were talking about traveling and driving and everything, my question is, out of the 2 hours that you drive, pretty much there and of course on the way home, how many days of travel do you do? And I mean, seeing your schedule, like, wow.
Yeah, so it all varies. It really does. I'll take bookings Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So whatever I can get, I'll drive for. My West Virginia trips are 3.5 hours one way. So that's 7 hours of my day. That's before we pull over to Sheets and pick up some food or
the Wawa of West Virginia.
Yeah, every time.
Sheets is better than Wawa.
We put on that song. What? No, I'm sorry, but Wawa hands down. Wawa hands down.
Wawa for life.
Sheets takes forever. At least in Virginia.
The food quality's better.
I don't like the lettuce. The lettuce isn't the best.
Can't betray Wawa.
And my other question for you, Ty, is what do you like to do on your downtime when you actually get to chill? What do you enjoy to do? Like, what's your hobby?
Man, honestly, I'm rediscovering a lot of that right now. I'm if I can be transparent, I'm recently going through a breakup. So I'm figuring a lot of that stuff out, what I really enjoy. But I'm trying to remember all the stuff that I used to enjoy. Like I've started playing Pokemon again. So that's been kind of cool. I got a cat. So her name is Dolphin, and that's been my pride and joy here for the last couple weeks.
Nice.
Learning how to be responsible and, take care of myself a little bit and learn a little bit more about myself every day. Go to the gym after work. And that's pretty much my life right now. And I'm figuring a lot out, to be transparent, I'm a pretty open guy. So figuring a lot out, but, I'm doing okay. I'm trying day by day.
That's it. One day at a time, man.
You had a lot of fun that night.
Children of heart, children of heart, children of heart.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's really cool because I've seen my dude. I can't remember right now. I'm so sorry, Brian.
Murphy.
Yeah,
Brian Murphy.
Brian Murphy. Yeah. So I met him. He was doing commentary. So to watch him wrestle is super dope. And Cameron. Man, he reminds me so much of myself. And I don't say that egotistically. I say that because, I remember being 13 years old and wishing how much I wished that I had an outlet to become a professional wrestler. And I never did till I was 18 or 19. And it was some dog crap. And then I had to figure out I had to travel over an hour to find something that was relatively good. And homie, I've told him, because I've had talks with him, because he's a super nice kid. I really like him a lot. And I really think he has so much potential in this business. I really do. He's really got something that I've come to enjoy watching him grow. And I've only known the kid for about a year, but he's so cool. he's 13 or 14, I think, and he's so cool, man. And 14. I wish I had the place that he does. And I've told him that. I'm like, man, if I had what you had, man, just know that this is a good place, and stay here until you make it, brother. Because you're gonna if this is you now, just wait. Just wait. When you're 19, you're going to be so far in already, 8 years in. And you just broke the mold, dog. And you're going to be a step above the rest. Like, you're literally going to be the king piece. You're going to be that king piece. You really will be, because you will be in charge. You will understand everything before every pawn in front of you. It makes sense. So, like I said, I can relate with the story. I can. And I enjoy watching the kid, and I think he's got potential. Cameron, I can't get hype enough for people. Cameron's one of those people. Same with Brian. Same with a lot of those people there, man. I wish nothing but the best for everyone.
Check out these bad boys.
Dude, so cool, man. I love those things. The Ty Awesome cards got some moves on there. I get to sign each one.
Nice.
So cool.
Any more questions?
No. No other question.
I know I want to talk Power Rangers with him sometime, man.
Shoot me a message, man. I could talk Power Rangers all day. I do car rides with my pop. My dad's been on this journey with me. I've been doing it for 10 years in November, and he's been with me for at least 8.5. He's such a contributor to this business too. He films a lot of shows and puts them on YouTube and provides a lot of good footage for a lot of people and good time too. So that's a Papa Scott Productions plug right there.
All right.
Yeah, I remember one time I talked his ear off with another buddy of mine, Trucker Josh, BT Windsor, he goes by now. And me and him were just talking Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, Power Rangers in Space, Power Rangers. I didn't watch Zeo as much, but we talked a little bit about it. We talked Mighty Morphin. But his era, because he's just a little bit younger than me, I think he's 24. Mm-hmm. He was Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue. So I'm like, all right, bet, let's talk. Because these are good stories. Like the Titanium Ranger being the first American Ranger. You know what I mean? Like that was, not many people know that, and he didn't know that, so I got to pop in. Yeah. It's the first one that did not come from Super Sentai footage. They Americanized the footage, and super cool. Like I said, I'm a nerd about it. I love the Power Rangers.
Hey, it's cool because I am one myself. I mean, I'm the original,
Original OG.
and I was a big Jason fan. You couldn't tell me nothing wrong about Jason the Red Ranger, the original Red Ranger.
He was the original
Red Ranger.
When I hear It's Morphin' Time, I hear Jason every time. That's the one.
So did you enjoy more the show or the movies or both?
Man, I think I enjoyed the shows more, especially Mighty Morphin. I think I enjoyed.
Yes.
I rewatch Mighty Morphin still every now and again. Not the whole thing because I always get lost. I get sidetracked. I'm an adult, so I have adult things to do. But there are periods of my life where I go back and I try to reminisce on the good times, the '90s. I always tell people, pre 9/11, I like to enjoy that stuff. Because now it sucks. Now life sucks a little bit, but yeah, I'll watch it every now and again, and just fall in love with it again. Mighty Morphin.
Because we got one more comment from Joe Hale. He says Brian Murphy says hi. He's right next to him. He's at the Monster Factory currently.
Do it with me, Brian. Children apart.
Hey, we have Brian Murphy in 2 weeks.
All right, cool, man. That's awesome.
Tune in.
Maybe
That's
we'll
awesome.
try to get
the story, man. Yeah, I met him at TWI. He was a ring announcer. He's a super kind dude. And the next thing I know, he's wearing spandex. That's my dude. Heck yeah, dude. And he's doing a good job. He's actually one of the guys who I haven't had a chance to tell him this, but one of the times I was in Monster Factory, he actually kind of inspired me. He was taking protein, and I was like, okay, I have noticed he's been bulking up. Maybe I should start taking protein. And since I've seen him do that, I've started taking protein, and I've been bulking up. So thank you, Brian Murphy, for the motivation on that. You probably didn't know that, but that's why I started using protein. I was like, oh, he's doing it. He's bulking up. I'm gonna join these guys.
All right. So what a thrill.
Hey, everyone, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and also don't forget to put comments. If you have any questions or anything to Willie Tiny, L.A. Willie, me, Will the Thrill. And if you also want to hit Ty Awesome, definitely please do so. All right? So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're also on Facebook as well. The 3 Wills of Wrestling Podcast.
All right. Let's take this home. You don't have to go anywhere yet, Ty, but we're just going to take it home.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
This is the 3 Wills of Wrestling Podcast.